Hi there folks, Scorpion1Throw here, welcome back to another Transformers review. This time we're going to be taking a look at another popular character this time around, because this is really one of those characters that in a lot of ways helped define Transformers for what it is. And this is really one of those characters that when it comes to scientists, they often do the same thing in that they put good weapons together, or they can repair broken or damaged Transformers. And this character falls in between the gaps in that when he makes inventions, they often go kaboom in his face. So he's a crazy, mad scientist altogether, but that's one of the main reasons why we like him so much. Today we're going to be taking a look at, as the title above will tell you, Generations Wheeljack. This is really one of those toys and one of those characters that I really do think needs a lot more attention. And the toy is very good for a lot of different reasons, and I can see a lot of people like it so much. But we'll get onto the toy a little bit later on. Since this is a G1 character, of course, we're going to be reading his bio from ye old guidebook. I haven't looked at this in a little while. So, if we turn to page 24, you'll see his bio next to a picture of himself from the Dreamwave comics right there in the bottom right-hand corner of the book. And of course, the bio says, as an engineer, Wheeljack was instrumental in the design and construction of the Ark. He is constantly looking for ways to improve and refine the Autobots' weaponry, defensive systems, and fuel capacity. More comfortable in vehicle mode than robot mode, Wheeljack does his best thinking in motion and routinely performs amazing feats of vehicular prowess. I think there's a little bit more to the character than that, though, because Wheeljack is really one of those characters that in a lot of ways, like I said before, is the mad, crazy, wacky, kooky scientist that we've all grown to love over the years. In a lot of ways, you can say he's the Dr. Emmett Brown of the Transformers universe. I'm not sure how that's possible, but just take it as it is. He's known for making some of the best inventions you've ever seen that can either work in some cases or can either just not work. And the inventions he makes can often blow up in his face and be declared as a failed experiment, but nonetheless he'll still keep trying and making the invention better than it was when he tried it first time around. So even though the character is a bit of a wacky, kooky nutjob, he is still a likable character, and one of the best characters I think in G1. One of the few characters that doesn't get much development in the cartoon though, but sadly character development was one of those things that the show didn't really focus on a great deal of the time. His role in the show, now his role in the series in general, I could go on and often say what he's done, but we could be here all day because the character has done so much. But I'll go for just a few. I'll just go by some of the few things that he's done that help make this character popular. Wheeljack is one of the first characters in the cartoon to appear on camera, of course. He's one of the first characters to appear in the show, in any Transformers cartoon, alongside Bumblebee, where you see him in More Than Meets the Eye, him alongside Bumblebee, taking energy conductors back to Iacon, but then getting ambushed by the Decepticons along the way. And as the series would progress in Season 1, he would make inventions such as the Shock Blast Cannon Heavy Metal Wars that would explode on his shoulder, that would try to take out Megatron in Heavy Metal Wars. He made a device to help regain everyone's minds from the evil mind control Dr. Arkeville, and he helped put the Dinobots together. That was the Ultimate Doom, by the way. He helped put the Dinobots together in SOS Dinobots. He helped make some of the best characters that would later go on to serve greater roles in Transformers many years to come. So the character has a huge role in the series, somewhat. Of course, as the series would later unfold, he would make Autobot X, and Autobot X, the Autobot that would help keep Spike alive whilst his human body was recovering. But as the series would go on, though, he didn't really get much character development outside of being the wacky scientist. He didn't really have much of a story devoted mostly to himself, but that's a shame, I guess. Sadly, Wheeljack, of course, died in Transformers the movie alongside Windcharger, where you see both their corpses lying alongside each other. The fate of those two characters is left ambiguous. Either Wheeljack died from being gunned down by the Decepticons, or he died from one of his inventions, it's never said. And in the cartoon, of course, he was voiced by Chris Latta, who also played Starscream. One of the things about this character, though, that makes him stand out, though, is his big blinking headlights for ears, that when he talks, his headlights blink. So that's pretty much his role in the cartoon. In the comics, he's still the same character, still the wacky cookie nut job. But of course, in the Marvel comics, he manages to, in Disintegrated Circuits, Wheeljack accompanied Jazz on a mission to secure fuel supply for the Autobots, and he stayed in the background whilst Jazz forged an alliance with the human JB Blackrock. And he managed to have a lot of important roles in the UK Marvel Comics as well as the US Marvel Comics, and appeared through all of them up until the end of G2 when his fate was left ambiguous. You don't really know what happened to him afterwards. In Dreamwave, same character, only that in War Within, Wheeljack was part of Grimlock's unit alongside Cop and Ironhide at the time when Sentinel Prime died, and then Optimus rose to command the Autobots. When Optimus Prime rose to command the Autobots. So Wheeljack, of course, had the same role that he's always had in being the wacky scientist, but managed to hold a huge role in the series altogether. And, of course, in IDW, I don't really know that much about his role in IDW, as I've only read a few of the issues, and I'm not really a big fan of them. But he's had a huge role in things like Infiltration. He's one of the main key characters in Infiltration. Devastation, and, of course, the All Hail Megatron series, and the recent ongoing series right now. So the character has had a huge role in the series thus far. But really, that's all I can say about the character, in that Wheeljack is a wacky, crazy, kooky, lovable scientist, and that's why we all like him, though, is that even though he's a wacky scientist, he means well. He means to make the Autobots stronger than who they already are, and he manages to help define the Autobots, and manages to define himself as being a very popular character. Not by how he looks, but by how he acts. So the character, of course, has a huge role in Transformers, despite the fact he didn't get any character development in the show, other than just being a mad scientist. It's a shame, really. I like the character nonetheless. I get the feeling that this character is a bit overshadowed for just being a mad scientist, but really, that's one of the main reasons why a lot of people like him, I guess. Now, onto his toy. This is one of those toys that I've seen a lot of reviews regarding this toy, on camera and in written form. In that this is one of those toys that a lot of people have said is one of the best toys in the Generations line. The original G1 toy I had as a child, and I don't have it anymore, was a Lancia Stratus, and was originally a Diaclone figure. And that mould, unfortunately, is lost to the mists of time, so I really don't think we'll ever get to see a reissue of that figure at some point in the near future, unless someone can find that mould and make new toys, but there you go. Now, we're living in this day and age now where we've got the Generations line, and the Generations line is showing a great job of taking old characters from G1 and bringing them into the new generation of toys, of Transformers toys, and making them better. Because, let's face it, the Wheeljack toy, as good as it was, didn't really have much movement in any other part of the body aside from the head and the arms. But this toy is fantastic. This, of course, is the Generations Wheeljack, and of course, this toy is a retooling / remolding / recoloring of TurboTrax from Reveal the Shield. So I did have a little bit of doubts about this mold because I'm not really a big fan of Trax that much, but this mold, I think, has done a great job of managing to stand out very well in terms of Transformers toys. The mold is fantastic in terms of design and colours, and you can tell that whoever designed this mold managed to do a great job of making it work well for Wheeljack, right down to the colour scheme. Of course, you have the colours for being the traditional white and red and green, very Italian colours to help make this character more akin to how he looked in G1, and it just looks really, really good. I love this toy a lot, and of course it rolls fairly well. Why wouldn't it? It's a car former. Car formers often can be quite boring, but I think this one actually does work quite well. And of course on the top you can see the Autobot symbol right there. And the one thing as well that I like about this toy as well is that it hides the robot mode very, very well. So that's one good thing that you want to have in a Transformers toy, is the robot mode hidden in vehicle mode. And this does a very good job with that. Somewhat. Now, onto the transformation. Now, the transformation for this figure isn't really all that hard. It's actually quite simple to do. First thing you want to do is just take off these bits, which will come in handy for the robot mode. They're actually going to be the weapons / wrenches. And of course, first pull apart the legs and open up the back. And of course, fold out the car doors. And of course, fold out these bits as well. And make sure that the car doors often stay together, because they can often fall apart from time to time. And pull out the gun, which you're going to use later on. And of course, pull out the arms, like so. And lift up the chest, which of course, if you grab a hold of the chest and lift it up, reveals the head as well. And of course, pull out the feet, like that. There we go. And open up this part, which of course, if you look right here, just move the arms out of the way first of all, and lift up the wings. Oh, there go. There goes one of the wings. Occasionally when you try and pull these wings out, they will fall off, but I guess that's not a bad thing. These can be reattached with no problem at all. So there you go. And of course, one thing you want to do is push this bit in, which of course, if you look in the back, there are two holes right there, which this can clip in very, very nicely, like so. And here you have Generations Wheeljack in his robot mode. Now, I like the alt mode, because the alt mode is very good in a lot of different ways, but the robot mode, I think, is just fantastic. This is how you do a Transformers toy and make it work. You manage to make everything about this toy look better than how it looked in the original toy that this character was based on. The one thing I like about this figure, of course, they've managed to get it perfectly hands down to how he looked in the original G1 toy, and the costume as well. So this is as show accurate as I think it can get, I suppose. Of course, you can see the head right there. The head sculpt, being what it is very, very nicely done. Of course, he has the blinking headlights, which, of course, are light piping, so you can actually have a very powerful LED shining through those lights. And, of course, the head is on a ball joint, so it can rotate as well, and of course it can nod up and down like that. So the head is perfectly sculpted. I like this head a lot. And of course the arms and any other part of the body have good articulation in that the arms are on ball joints, so they can move quite nicely, and two elbow joints like that, and the knees can bend right nicely, and of course leg joints are on ball joints, so they can move from side to side, whichever direction you want them to. And of course the waist has a joint as well, so that can rotate as well. That's actually pretty good. So yeah, I'm very, very impressed with this figure. This is hands down, I don't want to say perfect, because nothing's perfect, because this figure, for being what it is, it's a great toy, but it's not perfect. I think that in a lot of ways it's a great toy, but I think people really give it too much credit for what it's worth. But I always think the character's a little bit more important than the toy, but that's just how it is. Now onto the weapons. There are many different ways you can actually have these weapons, and that this character comes with these, which are the two shoulder cannons, which of course you can actually have on here, attached to the shoulders, so he actually has two shoulder cannons looking really, really badass, like a mad scientist should. And of course you can actually have these as wrenches, which, that's one thing about this toy that I like, is that not only are these cannons good for cannons, they also make good wrenches. So that's the one thing you want to make this character have, is his mechanical appliances to help make him put inventions together. So you can either have them like that as wrenches, or better yet, of course, you can actually have this gun either as the shoulder cannon, like, well, actually as the traditional hand cannon like that, which is quite nice, or better yet, as the shoulder cannon, which is even better. So I think there are many different ways you can actually have these weapons. I'm just going to go ahead with the ones that actually make this character stand out. And he has his shoulder cannons and his wrenches armed like that. So you can have this guy in all sorts of poses to make him stand out a little bit more. But I really, really like this toy. The color scheme on this figure is perfect. Well, great. The color scheme on this character is great. The color scheme on this toy is great. The mold, I did have some problems at first, but it's well selected. The detail is very, very nice and visible for all people to see. It just looks, this is everything that Wheeljack should be. And in a lot of ways, this toy, I could say without any shred of a doubt, is a little bit better than the G1 toy in some way or another. I know that a lot of people have a soft spot for it, and I do as well. But this one is just a little bit better in that this figure feels a lot like Wheeljack in terms of its design and detail. And it just looks really, really nice. I love how well put together this figure is, how well detailed it is, how well painted it is, and it's just hands down great. So there you go, that's Wheeljack in general, the mad, crazy, kooky, wacky Dr. Emmett Brown of the Transformers universe. I like this character. He needs more attention, and he needs to be seen other than just being a mad scientist, I think. The character is a little bit more than that, I think, and the toy just manages to do a very good job of bringing him into the new generation of toy collectors, and it just does a great job of managing to stand out very well. Would I recommend this toy? Well, only if you like Wheeljack, of course. If you like Wheeljack, then I would highly recommend this toy. If you don't, then it's not worth it. But this figure is just fantastic all the way around. Whichever way you look at it, this figure is worth the money, I think. So anyway, this has been Generations Wheeljack, a great figure and a great character, and I'm Skullgrim140. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you all next time. Bye.